How to manage the patients of H1N1? First of all, the general measures. Treatment, as we know, for this viral illness is generally supportive to a large extent. Bed rest plays an essential part in the recovery. Patient should not be allowed to go to school or work. He must stay at least 7 days at home. Why? This is not for the patient alone. It is for the community not to get the infection from him. In order to arrest the transmission, patients should be isolated at home for a period of at least 7 days. Now, Government of India has given orders to different companies and agencies to grant 7 days of leave for all those patients who are diagnosed as H1N1. Increased fluid consumption is essential for quick recovery, because dehydration is one thing which could hamper recovery. Cough suppressants can be helpful to relieve the irritative cough and also to prevent the spread of the virus. Cough etiquette. Cough etiquette means cough hygiene, or the general hygiene measures of covering the mouth and throat, mouth and nose while coughing and sneezing, and immediate hand washing, frequent hand washing with soap and water or alcohol based sanitizers. These are important measures. So, staying at home for 7 days, cough etiquette and hand washing are the three important parameters by which majority of the infections can be contained and controlled. Antipyretics and analgesics can be given to relieve the symptoms. Paracetamol and other NSAIDs can be given. Remember, aspirin is contraindicated in children for fear of Ray's syndrome. Avoid close contact with a sick person. If there is a family member who is sick, one designated person of the family should be asked to take care of the patient, and not everyone should go and help him or touch him. Home isolation is the key. Patient may require intravenous hydration if there is dehydration and other supportive measures. Depending on the severity of the illness, he may require hospitalization. Within the first week and a half after getting the H1N1 into our country, Government of India, in consultation with international agencies and experts in the field, have formulated the following categories for the guidance of all the practitioners who treat or who are supposed to see cases of H1N1. Patients are basically categorized into category A, category B and category C. All those who have H1N1 symptoms like common fever with cough and throat pain, with or without body pain and headache or diarrhea and vomiting. It's immaterial whether the patient has got body pain, headache, diarrhea and vomiting, but the three important things are sore throat, cough and high fever, fever more than 100.4. If anyone has got these symptoms, he is a suspect case of H1N1. The only thing is, what is immediately imperative to do is to isolate the patient at home and keep him under bed rest at home. There is no need to hospitalize him. There is no need to test him for H1N1, because there are no serious signs. It's only mild viral illness and there is no indication for antiviral drug. The second category is category B, where the high fever, severe sore throat infection occurring in children less than 5 years, in pregnant women, in adults more than 65 years, and those who have complicating diseases, comorbid conditions of chronic renal disease, congestive heart failure, other heart ailments, of course not hypertension, COPD, bronchial asthma, diabetics, immunocompromised and immunosuppressed, either congenital or acquired immunodeficiency. These fall under the category B, and they have to be given Tamiflu but not tested for H1N1. Still they are under home isolation. So, the first group is home isolation, no Tamiflu, no test, supportive care and then hygiene. The second group, category B, home isolation, no test of course, and then Tamiflu can be started straight away for category B patients, because they are high risk group and we want to protect them from going into severe complications. And then of course home isolation and general etiquette and then hygiene are essential. The third category is category C, were the same as B, but these people have got manifestations of severe respiratory illness due to H1N1 in the form of shortness of breath, difficulty in breathing, chest pain, and then pain while taking deep breath, fainting spells, fall of blood pressure, cyanosis, blue color of the nails, which is cyanosis, blood in the sputum, and children not accepting feeds, altered sensorium. These are and sometimes even seizures. So these are the things which put the patient on the higher category of risk, highest category of risk, like the category C, and these are the patients who need a H1N1 confirmatory test, reverse transcriptase PCR, along with Tamiflu administration, and of course hospitalization. Category C patients should not be managed at home. They must be hospitalized and they must be tested for H1N1 confirmation using reverse transcriptase PCR, and of course Tamiflu should be given just as in the case of category B. How much dose of Tamiflu, what is the frequency, we will see in our next slide. But remember, this categorization is essential for us to work, and how many of them fall into category A, category B and category C, we will see in the next slide. Assuming there are 100 cases that are diagnosed, 90% of them or 90 of those 100 will be under category A. What is the treatment for them? Home isolation, general hygiene, cough etiquette, no neuraminidase inhibitor, that means no Tamiflu, and no test. They need not be tested for H1N1, they need not be given Tamiflu, managed at home. Isolation for 7 days at home is essential. Category B, out of 100 patients, 8 patients fall into category B. They do of course need the same treatment like category A, but these people require a Tamiflu, that is a neuraminidase inhibitor. NAI has to be started. Of course, no test is recommended for H1N1 for these patients. The small proportion of patients, 2% of the total cases, develop severe H1N1 infection, and they are the ones which needed to be admitted in a hospital, and preferably all the government institutions are accepting these cases. They have to be admitted there, and they will have isolation wards. Along with that, Tamiflu will be continued, and of course they will be tested for confirmation of the infection due to H1N1. So 90% of the patients do not require any hospitalization, do not require antiviral drug, do not require a test. Only 8% of the cases require antiviral drug, and they do not require a test, and they can be managed at home. 2% of the cases, of course, require to be hospitalized. They require the antiviral drug, they require the test also. 2 antiviral agents are available, oseltamivir and